So what was the question?
How do I make each of these petals different colours?
Wow, that was amazing. Cool. All right, so this is where I'm just going to take my mouse. So obviously you've got this image here, okay, and it's all red, okay, and it's only one layer. So first things first, we need to make a new layer. You know about new layers? Cool. So this is where all of these come in, and how you change. This will change what it'll do to the layer below it. So if we do a new layer and we grab, say, blue, all right, and we get the paintbrush, and let's just scribble. We'll do a big chunk of paint there. Now, if I start changing these things, it affects how that layer interacts with the layer below it. So dissolve, it kind of dissolves into the layer below it, okay, but it's not what we want. Darken, you can see it's darkening the layer below it with that colour. And it's kind of doing what we want, all right? There's other options in here as well. Linear burn, won't do much. They all will work differently for different things. Darker colour, you can see what it's done there. With darker colour, when I paint, what it's doing is it's only affecting certain colours on there. So you can see it's darkening the light areas with the blue. So I can actually paint that in, and it's going to paint that, which is pretty cool, but it's not what we want. Okay. So each of these will affect something a little bit differently. Lighten, it's going to lighten the whole screen, not what we want. Linear light, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot. But for the sake of this, what we want is probably one of the first ones that we used, which was darken. So now, when I paint there, all it's doing is it's using the blue, and it's darkening the colour below it, and it's kind of mixing the two together. So now we get a blue over there. But as you can see, it's not the blue that we chose. We chose a light blue. So what you have to think about when you do this is you kind of have to have that in your head. All right, if I mix this colour with a red, what colour will I get? And that's the colour you'll get. So to answer your question then, all we need to do is do a new layer, change that. You remember which one it was? Darken. Okay. And then we'll zoom in a bit, we really just have to paint. And because these are all a different layer, we don't have to be too pedantic. And so you can see it works well there, and this is where we're lucky. So we can go out of the borders here and onto that green, but notice how you don't really see much on the green because we've got blue. And if you mix blue and green together, it's still kind of green. So you don't see a huge change like you see with the red as much. So if we go across here, so all I'm doing is just painting that in. All right. And zoom down a little bit there. So really quickly, and then the blue petal. And now we continue doing that. But what you want to do for each petal is to do a new layer. So that way that you can colour over each other. So if we do another layer, we put our darken on. Now this is where it's going to work a little bit differently. Let's try yellow. All right. Paint. If I want to paint in yellow, you're going to get like an orange. Okay. And off we go. And paint away. So you kind of get the idea. And because we're on different layers, if I paint here in yellow, and I accidentally go over it, now what it's doing is, it might be hard to see on the camera, but see how it's starting to make that green? Because now the yellow is mixing down onto the blue, which is mixing down onto the red, and now we're getting green, so we don't want that. But because it's a different layer, if we get the eraser tool, we can just rub that out, and we're not rubbing out the blue below it. So that's why we work on different layers. Okay, and you can be really specific and really clean. And there you go. And that's how you do it. So each image will work slightly differently. These layer options all work slightly differently. You know, if that was a different colour layer, it was lighter, we'd probably use something different in here. But the best thing is just to kind of keep playing until you get the effect you want. And you then got your opacity, so you can kind of bring that down a little bit. If it's too strong, if it's too orange, you change that. But there you go. So you should be able to colour, and I want to see it. This entire thing with different layers. Sweet. Thanks, Ruth.